世界のみんなとつながろう Bridges across world communities.
Hello and welcome to Bridges Across World Communities, sponsored by NIA, the Nishinomiya City International Association. My name's Floyd.
And my name is Thelma. Each month, we provide useful knowledge for daily living and important information about the disaster prevention.
This program is for English-speaking residents in the Nishinomiya area and is broadcast on the second and fourth Saturday of each month from 12 noon to 12:15.
This month's topics include COVID-19 vaccinations and consultation call centers.
Our guest is Mr. Jonathan Rubashkin from the U.S., who now lives in Amagasaki.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会です。
Hello, Thelma.
Hi, Floyd.
Are you enjoying our beautiful spring weather?
Of course. It's not too hot and not too cold. Just right. Okay, but the coronavirus situation is still making things very difficult.
Yeah, that's for sure. In fact, our area went into a state of emergency on April 25th, and many stores, restaurants, and commercial spaces had to close.
Yeah, I guess that means this month's topic is related to COVID-19.
Of course. And we also have updated information about vaccinations.
Okay, so what's going on with the vaccinations?
Yeah.
Everything seems delayed, Floyd, compared to the schedules that we talked about last March and April.
Yeah, there was a delay, but the vaccination coupons for people 65 and over were finally mailed out on April 21st.
That means everyone who turned 65 before April 2020 should have received their coupons by now.
Yeah, that's right. And the envelopes were sent out by the Nishinomiya City Public Health Center, and they contain the vaccination coupons and 2 pre-vaccination screening questionnaires.
Did you get an envelope?
Me? Yeah, I guess. I hate to admit this, but yeah, I'm one of those really old people who have received the coupons.
Well, lucky you. Now that you have the coupons, can you get vaccinated right away?
Well, unfortunately, no. They're not accepting vaccination appointments yet, so I'll have to wait a little while longer.
When will you be able to schedule your appointment then?
I don't even know. But detailed information about things like when and how to make the appointments and the locations where you can receive the vaccinations, they'll be announced in the May 10th issue of the City News and on Nishinomiya City website.
Was it easy to follow and understand the instructions that came with the coupons?
Well, of course, everything in the packet was in Japanese, so I could hardly understand any of it. But
Oh gosh, okay. That must be very frustrating, right?
yeah, but it really wasn't a problem because there are call centers and online sites where I can get all this information in English. Yeah, in fact, the website of the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare has translated versions of the pre-screening questionnaire in 17 languages. So you can find this really easily by just doing an online search for COVID-19 vaccination questionnaire.
And I heard that the form is the same throughout Japan, right?
Yeah.
So it should be easy to get help filling out, right?
Yeah, it's easy to get the help to fill it out, but
filling up, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to fill in and submit the Japanese version. The translated English form should only be used just as a guide.
And any other important points that we should know about?
Yes, the vaccination is administered as 2 doses, so you have to go back to receive your second shot at a later date.
So don't discard or lose the second questionnaire or leftover coupons after getting the first dose, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can fill out the questionnaire before going to receive your vaccinations, but you shouldn't attach the what they call the sticky back coupons to it. You let the people working at the vaccination center handle the coupons.
What do you need to bring with you then?
You need 3 things. First of all, you need the vaccination coupons, of course. You need the pre-vaccination screening questionnaire and your ID.
What kind of ID?
Your resident card, driver's license, or health insurance card, things like that can be used.
Okay, how much will it cost?
Absolutely free. It's for both Japanese and foreign residents. There's no cost.
And is it mandatory then?
They say that the vaccination against the virus is voluntary, but all people over 16, except pregnant women, are what they call obligated to make an effort to get vaccinated. The idea is that we should all work together to prevent further spread of infectious diseases.
And of course, Nishinomiya City and NIA will be providing information in many languages on their websites and Facebook pages. So please check them also.
Yep. And we're happy to welcome this month's guest, Mr. Jonathan Rubashkin from the United States.
Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome to the show. Now, United States is a big place. Where are you from? From the States?
Oh, sure. So I'm from Chicago, which is in kind of the northern central part of the United States.
No, were you actually from the city, or were you from the suburbs? Or?
So I'm from a small northern suburb. It's called Deer Park.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh, really? No one's ever heard of Deer Park.
I don't know why. Is there some big headquarters there or something? Some company headquarters? It sounds so familiar.
I think it's a pretty small suburb, so I'm happily surprised that you've heard of it. Yeah.
So now you're living here in Japan. Whereabouts are you?
Sure. So now I live in Amagasaki, but I've lived in a couple of other places in Japan before too.
Okay. Now, I guess most of our listeners would know Amagasaki is just on the other side of the Mukagawa from Nishinomiya.
That's right.
So how did you end up living in Amagasaki instead of the beautiful city of Nishinomiya?
That's a good question. I feel like everyone's trying to get me to move to Nishinomiya recently. But the main reason is that for my wife's position, they provide company housing, and the company housing is located in Amagasaki, so that's where we put down some roots now.
Well, it's, you're in a good area, close to Osaka, Kobe, Nara, Kyoto. So it's a good area to live. You mentioned you lived in other parts of Japan. Where were some of the other places?
Sure. So the most recent area I've lived in would be Akashi, but previously I lived in Aichi Prefecture and Toyota City. I bet you can't guess why they call it Toyota City.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an easy one.
You gave it away.
Oh, sure. But yeah, and originally I lived in Fukuyama City in Hiroshima Prefecture too.
And how long have you been in Japan?
Now it's a little over 5 years.
And so now, we always ask this. There's even a TV show on we always watch, and it's why did you come to Japan?
Sure. So that's a very good question. In the past, I actually lived in England for 1 year, and while I was living in England, I met a very good friend who was from Japan. And this friend really encouraged me, telling me that I would love Japan, I would find it really interesting, there are so many beautiful places to visit. And actually I said, I'm not interested. Like I thought, it's very far away, there's nothing really drawing me to Japan just yet. Right. But after they told me about so many interesting things and interesting places, I said, okay, I'll come for a few weeks to check out Japan. And I immediately fell in love with Japan, going to Himeji Castle, Kyoto, Nara, Tokyo, Osaka and Hiroshima. Everywhere was so beautiful. People were so nice. It really made me want to live in Japan for a longer period of time.
So your first time here was just on a short holiday then?
That's right.
It's interesting because so many people, when they first visited Japan, they usually end up in Tokyo somehow. So whereas, really a lot of the old history, and I find the more interesting areas are in Kansai and this other with, Kyoto, Osaka, Nara, like the history is amazing. So I'm surprised that you spent most of your first visit in this area.
Yeah, that's right. I think I spent only a day and a half in Tokyo during that visit.
Now, so you ended up here for 2 weeks, and it was because of a suggestion of a friend from England.
That's right.
Now, what happened? Did you go back and decide, okay, I've got to do something to try to get back there, or how did you end up coming to live?
Sure. So after I went back to the U.S., I was working as a history teacher, and I was enjoying work, but I kind of wanted something a little different or to kind of change things a little bit. So I thought I would come to Japan just for 1 year and then end up going back to the U.S. to kind of resume my history teaching. But after 1 year, it quickly became 2 years and 3 years and 4 years and 5 years. So Japan's been a very easy place to live in.
Well, hi, Jonathan.
Oh, hello.
We're happy to have you here.
Well, thank you very much.
I heard you said you came from a deer park or something?
That's right.
In Chicago. What's the difference? Have you been to Nara?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think that it's like deer.
Yeah,
deer
I know. That's why I'm just trying to make a question.
Nara has more friendly deer. I think the deer are much more friendly.
Because Floyd asked me to make a question, so I was thinking like maybe Deer Park of Nara and the Deer Park Chicago. What's the difference? So our producers keep laughing right now. Anyway, so we should really, some people haven't been to Chicago, and if they heard like Deer Park, probably they mistake to think like Deer Park and the Chicago thing.
Sure.
So that's a big difference. Okay, so now my favorite question for you is, what is your favorite food in Japan?
That's a very good question. I think I usually say sushi is my favorite food in Japan, but maybe these days ramen, especially miso ramen.
Oh, really?
Is really wonderful.
You always pick the wrong choice.
Do you have a different preference for ramen?
I'm not. I don't prefer miso ramen. I just say like miso ramen. How about you, Floyd? Do you have any favorite?
I'm not a
ramen?
huge ramen fan. I mean, there's so many types of Japanese food. And in fact, it's funny because when I first came here, I thought it was all sushi, So I've had to learn that there's a lot of other very good foods here. So I have to say I like everything, really.
Oh, how about okonomiyaki?
I love okonomiyaki.
Yeah,
It's
when
really
the
good.
first time I saw okonomiyaki, I think I don't understand what kind of food is that. But how about you? What is your impression when you saw the okonomiyaki the first time?
Sure. So because I was living in Hiroshima, they have their own style there, Hiroshima yaki. And people kept telling me it was pizza. They said this is a Japanese pizza.
Right.
But of course, it doesn't really look like pizza very much to me, at least. But yeah, I thought the taste was delicious, but I was surprised at how big it was and how many ingredients were put into it for sure.
Yeah.
I got to add here something which was really shocked me is I just found out recently that frozen okonomiyaki is really good from
Really?
the supermarket. Yeah.
Did you ever try?
I've tried it. It's shockingly good.
Really? So I'm gonna buy maybe later.
Yeah, yes, on the way after the show. Go get some.
So what is your favorite part in Japan? Do you have any ideas?
For places to visit?
Places to visit?
Sure. Well, Hokkaido is beautiful, so I had a very nice trip to Hokkaido a few years
nice.
ago. Sapporo is a really relaxing city, and the architecture is really different from other areas of Japan. Also, last year during the Go to Travel campaign, I went to a small island called Mamioshima. That was really wonderful too.
Wonderful. So probably we can ask that in the next,
Well, we have another 30 seconds or so.
Oh, really? You can have something to ask him again next time.
Okay. Well, you know what we want to do is you mentioned that your wife was sort of stationed in Amagasaki area.
That's right.
So we're going to find out, where she's from and when you met her and all that stuff. But we're going to do that on next month's show. So thank you for joining us this month, and we'll pick this up again in the next month's show.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much for having
Thank you
me
so
and
much, Jonathan.
for inviting me back next month. I
Lot
look
more to go.
forward to it.
Okay, Jonathan. Bosai Joho desu. Well, Thelma, it's now May, which means Tsuyu, or the rainy season, is just around the corner.
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
here in the Kansai region, the rainy season usually begins in early June and continues through mid-July.
Yes, that's right. And along with the heavy and long-lasting rainfall, there's always the increased risk of landslides and flooding.
Nearby the Mokugawa, the river along the border with Amagasaki,
Yeah.
can overflow and cause the flooding in the Hanshin Nishinomiya area, right?
That's right. So during this time of year, it's always a good idea to frequently check the weather forecast and be prepared for any heavy rains.
And you should also look over the Hyogo Prefecture hazard map published for your area, and it clearly shows the high-risk areas for flooding and landslide.
Now, every year, these highly detailed maps are delivered to every household in the Nishinomiya area. And an English language version of the hazard map is also available online.
Just do a search for Hyogo hazard map and click on Nishinomiya-si.
Yeah, and as always, be prepared to evacuate to a safer location if you sense any danger during a heavy rainfall. Well, the COVID-19 situation hasn't been improving and continues to be very serious. If you have any questions or concerns, please call the Nishinomiya Health Center at 0798-262240.
They're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and weekends and holidays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
The National Health Ministry has set up a new multilingual call center for information related to the efficacy and safety of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Their toll-free number is 0120-761-770, and they accept calls in 8 languages.
The hotline is open every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for most of the 8 languages.
And if you have questions related to the vaccine inoculation coupons, getting vaccinated, and so on, call the Nishinomiya City COVID-19 Vaccination Call Center at 0570-097724.
They're open every day from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., but they only accept calls in Japanese, and they also charge 10 yen per minute.
And as always, if you have any questions or need help, you can call NIA at 0798-328680 or send an email to nia@nishi.or.jp. 提供は西宮市国際交流協会でした。
Have a great weekend.
Keep safe, everyone.